Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to another edition of Walking Thoughts. I'm walking outside. It's Friday morning-ish. I got a slow start this morning. Anyway, I want to talk about something that happened last night. So it started yesterday morning, and I'm going to babble because Walking Thoughts is all about me babbling about something without a script. So yesterday morning I got up, and my normal routine is to sit at my dining room table, have breakfast, and scroll through emails and my feed and see what's going on and what to expect for the day. And I came across a ghost tour in Buffalo, and I thought, oh, this might be fun to do. This was Thursday. I had nothing to do that night. I was like, all right, I asked my wife. She's like, yeah, I'll go. I'm like, great. So I bought 2 tickets, and it was going to be a tour about architecture in the theater district, downtown Buffalo. And I mean, we've been up here for like 3 years, and we really haven't explored too much around here. So I thought this might be a good, kind of date night kind of thing. And so I bought tickets, and when I got over to work, I had sent Eric behind the wall a text asking if him and his wife would be interested in going too. And he said yes, but tickets were not available. And I was like, whoa, that's weird. I didn't think there were like any other guests or anything like that. And I looked it up and found, yeah, no tickets were available. And the event had actually been taken off the calendar. And I looked into it a little bit more. I realized that the owner of the tour is somebody that I know of, that we've interacted before. And the last time I saw the gentleman, he was giving a talk at the local library and kind of trashed us a little bit, CFI and all that. So I wasn't happy with that, but I didn't think, anything of it. I was like, all right, let me email him and just say, is there room or what's going on? And I did that in the morning. I didn't get a response until about 5:30 p.m. So we were going to leave in like an hour from there. I got an email response saying, hey, did anyone contact you? Because we had to cancel tonight because the tour guide, something came up. They couldn't be there. I can't be there. And I mean, that happens, like that happens. People get sick. It's a tour at night. Something comes up. They can't do it. I didn't really think too much of it. I didn't think too deep, like, oh, this is all because of me. But then the second paragraph that he wrote to me was what I really want to talk about. And it was clarifying that, hey, Kenny, that we're just guides and folklorists, right? We're not trying to get the next big discovery in parapsychology or anything like that. And I found that a little annoying, because it was already thinking... It to me, and when I read it to my wife, she thought the same thing. To me, it sounded like, oh shit, like they're worried now that I'm coming to the tour, and I'm gonna write that the tour, I'm gonna write about something about the tour not doing their research, or that they're getting stuff wrong and this and stuff. And I thought about it. I got my monster, and I was torn with how I felt on that, because yeah, I can understand, because I do investigate things. I do look into the details. I look into the research. I verify and fact check. So I can see that a tour owner, or by extension, like an owner of the haunted location or a ghost hunting team, would be concerned having someone that is so detail oriented attend. But on the other hand, it also brings up the point, like, why did you feel it was necessary to write something like that if you are, and you should be confident in what you've already done, like the work that you've already done. If you researched a script for the tour, which is what I always expect, you know, because it's a ghost tour. So these are always scripted, and it's usually a tour guide that is doing this as a part-time gig and just reading off a memorized script. And if anything, from my point of view, I would take the information and look at the individual locations that we visit on the tour and probably like dig into the stories. And if there was something interesting about a specific location, I would dig into the location, not necessarily pick on the tour, because the tour is just for entertainment, and I get that. It's not a investigative team, although the guy that owns the tour company claims to be says he's a journalist, and he wrote a bunch of books in the area and this and that, so I would expect that the information would be accurate. But again, I would focus on the location, not the tour itself. So it's always interesting. This is something that comes up when I'm trying to go to not necessarily tours, but alleged haunted locations, because when I sign up under my name, I usually get a response that not everyone else would get, you know, and I get it. It's because they're worried that I'm going to write about it. I'm going to put my drink down because my one hand is getting very tired holding up the phone. But it's happened like 4 or 5 times now where I've signed up for an event at a location, and within like 10 minutes I get an email, and it's from the organization or the owner asking, like, what am I signing up for? What am I doing? You know, why am I coming to their event? And it's I find it very telling about the organization or the owner or the location. If you're so worried about someone like me showing up, like, what's that say about you? You know, what's that say about the research you've done or the claims that you're putting out? If you're so confident in what you're promoting that you are charging people, sometimes in an overly expensive price to get in. I'm looking at you, owners of the Warrens house. Then you should be confident in what you're promoting. You shouldn't be worried about someone that will look at everything in detail. You shouldn't be worried. I mean, you should have already done all the work. You should have already known the material. You should know your work enough to defend it in a debate. And because you're promoting it and charging money for it, you're charging people on a daily basis to come in or attend events at your location where you're feeding them stories and information under the guise of being accurate. So you shouldn't have to worry about anyone like me coming in and looking at it. I mean, honestly, from my point of view, you should be reaching out to people like me and saying, hey, you know what? Come on, try it. Come on and experience it yourself. And, you know, like, they can't guarantee, you know, something will happen, although they try. A lot of places tell me, you know, you're gonna think differently when you leave here. And I never do. But you know, the point is, you should be welcoming to people that will, if you did your job right, will confirm that you did your job right. Not be worried and preempted by sending an email that has information like, why are you coming here? Or, you know, we only do this, right? You know, we only do that. If you looked at my work, I try to be fair, although I'm sure many people don't think I am fair, but I try to be as fair as possible. I try to point out that I understand the other person's position sometimes. And when that comes to witnesses or groups or owners or whatever, I try to understand the position they are in and the approach that they are taking, and that they might not have all the information, and that some people just are not expected to fact check. You know, if just an attendee shows up to a tour and goes through and posts on social media that they had a great time, and hey, you know, like I experienced this and that, and they told me this about the history, and it lines up. I don't expect just a regular attendee to do a deep dive and fact check everything that they were told. You know, because most of the time tourists are there, general public are there for entertainment. That's it. Oh, God, I'm fat. I'm so winded. I'm just walking around a parking lot. I'm getting winded. So yeah, I think the job of researching and fact checking goes to people like me that do this for a living. But again, when it comes to any of the locations, they should be welcoming. I really do. I really think they should be welcoming of people like me and say, hey, you know, like, and I will say that, like, there's a place called the Hinsdale House, and the owner is Daniel, and really nice guy. He lives near me, and we've spoken many times. He's actually been here to CFI and visited me at the office here. He loaned me his DR60 so I could test it. So, super nice guy. But he owns the Hinsdale House, and I know he promotes it as haunted. He promotes it as lots of experiences going on. And he allowed me to stay there, I think 3 times I've been there. And after the first time I went, he knew who I was, he knew what I do, and he's still like, come on in. You know, he was open, he didn't hide anything. He's like, here, go check it out, you know, see for yourself. And I actually called out one of his friends for faking a seance. And he was like, hey, you know, like, he didn't try to cover it up. He didn't try to make excuses for it. Instead, he said, hey, I know, I told him not to do anything sketchy in front of you, but he did, so it's on him. And that's the kind of attitude that I would expect from everyone else. I mean, we don't get it, but that's what I would hope for. And to have to make excuses, I think that's what it's getting to. Like this email that I got from the tour made excuses before I was even there. You know, don't know my angle, don't know why I'm going, but making excuses ahead of time. And that just is a red flag to me that you're worried about something that is not right, or you haven't thoroughly vetted, or that you're not confident in what you're promoting to the public, even though you're charging them ticket prices. Which I think if you're charging them ticket prices, you should have the most accurate information possible and be as honest as possible. That's all I ask. So yeah, that was bugging me that it was canceled, and I didn't. It was another thing that really starts to go down the conspiracy theory lane, is that he said that the tour was going to be postponed, but he didn't give me a date. Like, it wasn't postponed until next week, or Monday, or next month, or anything like that. It was postponed without a date. Didn't offer a refund in the original email. But I asked, when I responded, saying like, hey, so that was the day I had off, or that I had clear. When is this postponed to? Like, what date is it postponed to? And if I can't make it because my schedule's getting busy, is there a possibility for a refund? Because it was $50. It was $25 a ticket. Which I don't mind paying as long as it's good. I get like decent history. So the response that I got was simply, of course we will give you a refund. It wasn't anything about another date. it wasn't like, hey, you know, this is the dates we have open. Feel free to pick a date from there if you want to. Otherwise, I'll give you a refund. It was just very quick to give me a refund. And that, yeah, that made me suspicious. Because I was like, oh. And then my wife voiced what I was thinking. She's like, I wonder if he's actually having the tour anyway. And he just emailed you to say that it was canceled. Because there was some confusion. I reached out to see if there were extra tickets or any possible way that I could get Eric Behind the Wall in. And so I reached out directly to the tour owner, directly to his email, not the company email. So when I got the response later that day, or night, actually, I mean, yeah, it was like 5:30. It was directly to me. It wasn't like a mass email going out to other ticket holders. It was just to me. So it made me a little suspicious. So yeah, I drove down. I drove down to the meeting spot to see if they were still gathering. They weren't, which actually makes me feel better, you know, because I would have been really angry and upset that if I was excluded, you know, singled out and stuff like that. But luckily, no, there was no tour last night. But I checked anyway. It was only like a 15-minute ride, so not a big deal. And Donna was watching sports, so I didn't want to stick around. I don't like sports. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story, this 16 or 17-minute rant, is that just be honest. You know, if you're running a location, if you're charging ticket prices for staying in a location, visiting a location, doing a tour, doing a conference, doing a ghost hunt, any kind of event like that, and someone like me signs up, if you suddenly get concerned or worried, then that should be more of a reflection on you. I don't lie in my articles and videos. I don't fabricate evidence or data in order to push an agenda. I collect what's there. I fact check it. I look at it. I analyze it. I give you my impression. I give you what's documented already. I pick out the inconsistencies. I pick out if things can be recreated with what they have on hand, on scene. I recreate them and show you that it can be done. Like, I don't go out of my way to make sure I prove you wrong. That's not honest journalism. That's not honest investigation. That's having an agenda beforehand and making things the way you want it, which is what I see with a lot of YouTube ghost hunting shows. You know, everything's interpreted and changed or manipulated to fit their preferred agenda. Looking at you, owners of the Warren's house. So if I sign up, don't be afraid. Don't get worried. Don't preempt my visit with excuses beforehand to try to explain things that you really don't need to explain. Just be honest and upfront from the beginning, and you won't have anything to worry about. You know? Never stop learning.